This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. If you want to be part of the community that makes content like this, head over now.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 3 of the QazAkonda show. I'm Behram Kazi, who you can find at DefMango on Twitter, and with me is my colleague, Varun Alvakonda, the other half of the QazAkonda show, who you cannot find on social media even if you try. And just before we get into the show, I'd like everyone to know that all of our podcasts on the Good Areas Network are powered by our supporters on Patreon, and you can become one of them by going to Patreon/Good Areas Podcast, and then you can enjoy ad-free content, you can talk to us exclusively, and you can give us podcast recommendations. Now then, Varun, we're here for episode 3, and we're previewing South Africa's upcoming 2-match test series in India. Both tests will be played, in Kolkata and Guwahati, in that order. And I've come to realize that the QazAkonda show in its infancy is just a test series preview show, in essence, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway.
We'll figure stuff out later, but for now it's just previewing test series, which I honestly don't mind. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of where we're at, and we have a lot to talk about, of course. But let's start with South Africa, the reigning World Test champions, and they've just won their first series of the new cycle not won their first series, but they've leveled their first series versus Pakistan in Pakistan. The scoreline was 1-1, and South Africa, they played quite well on surfaces which aided spin bowling. Now, if this was a year ago, we would have said that India are out and out favorites and they should be able to sweep South Africa easily. But given that India did get swept by New Zealand at home, which was their first test series loss on home soil since December 2012, it's not that straightforward. I feel like South Africa definitely have a penchant to surprise, and they've got some really solid performances, behind them.
Yeah, completely agree with you. Like, this isn't the strongest home team India's had, right? I think it's not what it was like when the last time South Africa toured here. That was just a bloodbath, I think, when I remember watching. It was just such a boring series to watch as an Indian fan, because it was like, I think Harsha Bogle was talking about it. This like I don't think South Africa had a good day in that test series. Forget a good match, right? It was such a difficult series for them. But it's clearly not that. I think this is a better South African team than what they came up, and this is also a worse Indian team than what happened. As I think from even just looking at it, I think India should win this series. It would be a bit of a shocker if they don't, right? I think if South Africa can level the series 1-1, it would be a great result for them. If they win, they'd be shouting from the rooftops.
Absolutely. I mean, a win would be massive, but I feel like even leveling the series 1-1 would be a great achievement, because even like though this Indian side is fairly inexperienced with a new captain, they've done well thus far, and you assume that they'd continue to do well, at least in home conditions, because they've got a team set up to win at home. And South Africa, they're no mugs when it comes to, playing in spin friendly conditions, because they just leveled the series versus Pakistan, and those conditions were quite, conducive towards spin bowling. And then, of course, when I think of their spin bowling trio of Keshav Maharaj, Simon Harmer, and then you throw in Senaran Muthusamy, I feel like that isn't all too bad. But the million-dollar question over here, of course, is that what sort of tracks are we going to get in Eden Gardens and Guwahati? It ultimately comes down to what sort of soil is going to be used, whether it's black soil or red soil. And I feel that India would probably be better off if they go with balanced tracks, because pound for pound, they're a better team than South Africa. And yeah, I mean, they shouldn't be relying on ranked earners or spin-friendly conditions, I feel, over here.
So from what I'm hearing, they want Eden to be help pace and bounce. So we might see 3 seamers from India. So I would think one of the reasons, so if you look at the squads, I think the only change India had is they replaced Prasidh for Akashdeep, which I think is because Akashdeep plays his Ranji Trophy cricket at Eden Gardens. So they may want him on as a third seamer there. So I think Gautam Gambhir really said he wants pace and bounce. And they did, from what we saw versus West Indies, they don't want to go into ranked turner territory. Plus, I don't think modern day Eden Garden suits that anyway. If you try to make it a ranked turner, it could backfire horribly on every single person involved. So they might, if you want ranked turners, these are not the pitches to do it. We don't know what Guwahati is like, because this is the first time they're hosting a test match, right? I honestly have no idea how the domestic pitches play there. We probably should have checked. That's on me, but still.
Yeah, I have no clue about Guwahati either. But you mentioned modern day Eden Gardens. What even is modern day Eden Gardens anymore? Because this venue also hasn't hosted a test match since 2019, right? It's been 6 years when India defeated Bangladesh and Kohli scored a ton. So it's been quite a while, a hot minute, if you will. And it's rather surprising because Eden Gardens is one of the most prestigious grounds in the world historically. And the fact that they haven't, hosted, or the ground hasn't hosted any Test cricket in 6 years came across as a bit of a shock to me.
Yeah, so that's partly because India have a rotation policy for the test venues, right? They want as many test centers in India to get test cricket as possible. So that's also one of the reasons why you don't see a lot of test matches happening in Chennai. So there used to be something called the Pongal Test in Chennai, which is obviously a festival that happens there. So, and the test match coincides with that. It's almost like India's own version of the Boxing Day test match for a while.
Yeah.
Used to be a tradition, and then they haven't done it simply for the same reason, right? It's because India wants as many venues in India to host test matches. So test cricket spreads to centers where it wasn't as common before. We can debate the pros and cons of it. The pros is obviously test cricket is spreading. The cons is not all the stadiums are well located in those cities. So like what you would tolerate for like maybe like a 3-hour T20 match, you won't have for like a 5-day test match, right? I think if you have to keep going in day after day. And also like someone needs to confirm who lives in India. Last I checked, India don't sell day-by-day tickets. It's usually just 5 days as a package. I don't know.
didn't know that.
I don't know how true that is. Could be completely wrong, because someone needs to confirm this in the comments.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can assume that, you'll get solid crowds in Eden Gardens because, of course, people in Bengal love their test cricket. At least the ones that I know, they love their test cricket. And then Guwahati, if they've never hosted a test match before, then that makes sense that, at least you'd think that people would turn out over there as well. But it's interesting because on one hand, you are spreading cricket to different venues. On the other hand, and Virat Kohli has been very vocal about this in the past, is that you don't have those standardized test venues. So, like you go to England and you're going to play, at Headingley, Edgbaston, sometimes Trent Bridge, pretty much always at Lord's and the Oval, and even I would say the Emirates Old Trafford. India isn't quite set up that way, or the BCCI doesn't like to operate in that fashion. I feel like from a spreading the game perspective, taking the sport to different venues makes complete sense. But perhaps from a consistency perspective, what to expect from your own pitches and planning for a test series, maybe it's not so ideal. And I kind of see where Kohli's coming from. Or he was coming from.
I think Ashwin was just complaining about this. He's like, well, Guwahati is just as much an away stadium for India as it is for South Africa because they never played there. Like, I think it's taking it too far, but I get where he's coming from, right? Because they aren't used to playing here, right? I think so. You'd get it. For Guwahati, like how many people turn up? I think it entirely depends on how well located Guwahati Stadium is in Guwahati. I honestly have no idea. I know, from what I'm aware of, Eden Gardens is pretty well located, so it's easy to get to and go from. Right, so that's one of the advantages of having 5-6 test centers is alongside consistency. It's also a lot of them are much easier to get to. Right, Wankhede is very centrally located. Chinnaswamy is centrally located. Chennai is very easy to get to. Right, that's the other thing we also have to talk about. Is like even if some test matches venues might be great for crowds, if it's not well located, odds are people are not going to show up for test cricket.
Yeah, I mean, logistical challenges are always there. And, there are a lot of cities worldwide where airports and major sporting venues aren't located in the center of those cities. But anyway, I feel like so many people turned out in Guwahati for the Women's ODI World Cup that I feel like when they're getting test cricket for the very first time, I don't see a reason why they wouldn't, purchase those tickets and flock up those stands. But to your point, we don't really know what sort of surface we're going to get in Guwahati. And you have hinted that Gautam Gambhir and India want pace and bounce at Eden Gardens. Now, that is a bit of a double-edged sword. Of course, India have fantastic seamers up their sleeve, but South Africa also have a few really, really good ones, most notably Kagiso Rabada and Marco Jansen. Bring up their squad, will you? Let's just take a look at the entire list of players. So we've got Temba Bavuma back in South African whites. He was injured prior, and just recently, in fact, I think that game ended yesterday, the A game, he scored a 50 in that as well. South Africa, in fact, chased down 417, and that is a pretty massive achievement, but again, it was at Bengaluru, right? So maybe that comes with a bit of a caveat, right? Anyway, Bavuma, Aiden Markram, Dewald Brevis, Corbin Bosch, Tony De Zorzi, Simon Harmer, Marco Jansen, Wian Mulder, Senaran Muthusamy, Ryan Rickleton, Tristan Stubbs, Kyle Verena, Zubair Hamza, Keshav Maharaj, and Kagiso Rabada. That's a very strong squad, Varun. I mean, they've got plenty of options with bat and ball, and there are different kinds of bowlers in there. I feel like the selectors have done a fantastic job over here.
Yeah, definitely. So they haven't over-indexed on either discipline, right? Sometimes we see that with squads. I think more recently, I remember Pakistan picking like 6 different spinners. I'm like, what? How are you going to play all of them at the same point? Like South Africa, very good job with this. They have 3 specialist seamers, 3 specialist spinners. You don't need more than that, right? And then they covered all the bases, right? If we do expect pace and bounce, you probably see Corbin Bosch for Muthusamy, right? Muthusamy,
Yeah.
sorry. I think for me that's a direct swap, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I feel that Harmer and Keshav Maharaj are definitely going to play, regardless of what the surface is going to be like, right? And we have seen South Africa persist pretty strongly with Wiaan Mulder as the false number 3. He's done his bit, of course, 367 not out. If he wished, he could have challenged Brian Lara, but he's just a different breed of cricketer, I suppose. Not my breed of cricketer, that I'll tell you. If it were me, I would have gone for 400 plus. Or you remember when he says that, Brian Lara scored 401 and that record should stay with him? It would have been hilarious if he leveled Lara in his head and went to 401 and then declared and actually overtook him. We've been robbed. But yeah, so let's assume that South Africa open with Rickleton and Aiden Markram, right? I feel like that's pretty obvious given that those were the 2 guys opening in Pakistan. If they go in with Mulder at 3, I feel that Tony de Zorzi's position becomes a bit iffy because Bavuma is back and Temba Bavuma will want to bat at number 4. But Tony de Zorzi was exceptionally good with the bat in Pakistan. He particularly swept and reverse swept really well, and he used his feet to go big down the ground. And he can slog sweep. Those are all great things, and both of his test hundreds have come in Asia in a very short career. So you'd want to kind of fit him in, but then how do you fit him in if Temba's back at 4?
Didn't they have Stubbs at 3 in the last test? If you have Stubbs 3,
Yeah.
De Zorzi 4, Bavuma 5, and then who am I forgetting?
Well,
Varun
Mulder,
at
you're not
6.
playing in this, right?
I'm not playing Mulder in this. No, I don't think you don't need him. He's not the person for Asia.
Yeah.
I think. So
I
the
think that's
conservative
fair.
move would be like instead of Corbin Bosch for Muthusamy, you bring Mulder in for Muthusamy as a third seamer, right? But I don't think you need to. Also, like because odds are you're not going to outbat India, right? I don't think this is a bad South African batting lineup, but you're not going to outbat the Indian batting lineup in India, especially. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
So
look,
I go for 20 wickets. Like go for the aggressive option. Like what was it? Bosch at 7, Jansen at 8 is plenty. Batting depth enough for you, right?
that is, I mean, if you've got Bosch at 7 and Jansen at 8, I feel like that is more than serviceable. That's actually quite ideal because we've seen how Corbin Bosch can crank it up to 145 plus at times. He can bowl those hard lengths. He can actually, extract a lot of bounce on any sort of surfaces. And if the Kolkata or Eden Gardens pitch is going to be pacey and bouncy, then Corbin Bosch is in business. So I agree. That's the aggressive move. Go with him and you're not even compromising on batting because, he's averaging 40 plus in first class cricket. Last I checked. I feel I'm right over there. Perhaps I'm wrong. And then Jansen at 8 is kind of like the perfect sort of mix. But then again, they do rate Wiaan Mulder really highly. And I agree with you. I would love to go Stubbs at 3, Tony de Zorzi at 4, and Temba Bavuma at 5. And especially when, Bavuma has already gotten runs in the A game. You've got Tony de Zorzi, who was the highest run scorer in that series versus Pakistan. And another guy who did really well in that series was Ryan Rickleton, who's the opening batter, right? His reverse sweeps and sweeps were also quite exceptional. I was really, really impressed. And then Tristan Stubbs, we know he can be a dynamic player of spin as well. He can also bring out his sweeps, and he had one good innings in Pakistan. And then Baby AB is another option, I suppose, that you have if you really want to go full radical and you want someone to go and play that sort of Rishabh Pant / Travis Head / Harry Brook role. Well, Dave Brevis, Baby AB, he could do that or kind of fulfill that role if he comes off.
Yes, I'm just assuming it's a straight swap for Bavuma for Baby AB. That's what I was thinking before this. They could absolutely go with Baby AB as the what did we call it? The punk rock number 5s, right?
Yeah,
the
heavy
attacking
metal number
5s.
5s.
Heavy metal
Yeah.
number 5s. That's the one I was thinking of. Yes. Yeah. So I do think people over-index on it. It. To me, just seems like there is an element of randomness with all of these attacking batters coming through. But like I don't think you can manufacture it. You either have it or you don't.
Yeah, I agree. It's like not something that you can't work on. Of course, you can learn anything as a human being. But some batters are just, it's in their DNA. They're naturally more aggressive, and Baby AB is of that ilk. So it comes down to what sort of mix of batters South Africa want. But I don't think they're going to compromise on that, opening pair, at least. I feel like both of Aiden Markram and what's his face? Ryan Rickleton. They've got their places nailed down. Stubbs at 3 is exciting. Then you go Tony DeZorzi at 4 because he's done so well at that position in Asia particularly. And then Bavuma 5, number 6. Who was your number 6? Kyle Verreynne?
Verna, yeah.
Yeah. So what they could do is they could throw in Baby AB at 6, Kyle Verreynne 7, and then you play Bosch 8, what's his face? Jansen 9, Rabada 10, and then you just have one frontline spinner. I think that's a bit risky. Yeah, they probably can't
especially if you're assuming this is going, especially if it's not a bowling for like a 3-day test match or something, that's a big risk in India.
Yeah.
Right, they'll just play you out at that point. It's very risky to not go in with the 5th bowler. As I said, I'd prefer it if they just went all out attack and just go with 3 frontline seamers and the 2 best spinners. I think that's the best way of winning this test match.
I mean, if the wicket is going to offer a lot of pace and bounce at Eden Gardens, then I think the best possible 11 for South Africa will be Markram, Rickleton, Stubbs, Bavuma, Tony DeZorzi, or either way, you switch them around at 4 and 5. Number 6 would be Kyle Verreynne, 7 could be Corbin Bosch, 8 Jansen, 9 Rabada, 10 Maharaj, and then 11 would be Simon Harmer. I think that kind of makes sense. Also, I don't know if you've picked up on this or not, but Zubair Hamza has retained his spot in the side and David Bedingham is out.
Was he in the squad in the last one?
Yeah, he was there.
Oh,
he didn't
fair.
get to play in Pakistan, but he was there as part of the squad, and he.
Oh, so
has
Bavuma
been-
replaces him, right? I'm
Yeah,
assuming. Okay.
He's been fairly reliable as well for South Africa. So I was a bit surprised not to see David Bedingham in the squad. Especially like I thought if they'd have to pick between Zubair Hamza and David Bedingham, they'd go David Bedingham.
So my thinking is, I was reasonably consistent with it. Like to me, like an older batter is pointless if he can only bat at 5 or 6. Like
Yeah,
I don't.
you had
what,
that-
what do I gain from you?
Yeah. You had that same mindset with Karan Nair, and look, that poor guy has lost his place in the side.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you had to play Karan, you had to play him at 3, right? If David Bedingham can't bat at 3, which probably is the South Africa's one weak spot in this batting lineup, right? What does he offer to you, right? What do you gain by making like a young Stubbs bat at 3 or like throwing a baby AB at 3, right? Like your older players should be taking the riskier spots so the younger guys can have an easier ride. That's how it should be working.
Well, Karan Nair did take the riskiest spot in England afterwards, and he still found himself axed after not even getting a single home test series, which I thought was quite tragic. But yeah, I mean, look, we'll come to India in a bit. But just last words on South Africa's squad, I would say that it is definitely as good a squad as they could have potentially picked. It can compete for sure versus an Indian team, which is also, a new look team with a new captain on board. And Gautam Gambhir hasn't had the best of times as a test match coach. I know he draws a series in England 2-2, but he does also get swept at home by New Zealand 3-0. And the Australian tour, the Border Gavaskar Trophy, was a bit underwhelming, even though India played some good cricket over there. So there is some pressure on Gambhir, the test coach over here as well. And this is the first real sort of examination of India. What sort of home side are they going to be in this next sort of generation, right?
Definitely. If they went 2-0, that would be great signs for the future of India, right? Especially that would be very good signs because they can actually bat now. After a while, there's a good period where it felt like they just didn't know how to hold the bat. So I'm happy.
Yeah.
Like I think the England series was a long time. After a long time, I felt safe watching them bat in Test cricket. Right?
I mean, the flat decks helped, right?
They definitely help, but even before that, like watching India bat in Test cricket was one of the most stressful things as an Indian fan. It was so painful.
Anyway, that's a wrap on preview on South Africa, and we'll be heading towards India. But before that, we will be taking a short break. You guys are watching episode 3 of the QazAkonda show with Behram and Varun, and we'll be back very shortly after an ad break. So go nowhere. We'll be back in like half a minute. See ya.
Ross Taylor couldn't see at night or when the clouds were in. Eventually, he had to see an eye specialist who would fix his eyesight. In the 2 years before the change, he still averaged more than 50 in international cricket. The top level of batting talent can basically see in the dark. That is who we are talking about in our new book, The Art of Batting. Head over and order your copy today. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. If you want to be part of the community that makes content like this, head over now.
Welcome back to episode 3 of the QazAkonda show. You guys are with Behram and Varun, and we are currently underway previewing India and South Africa's upcoming 2-match test series in India. We've discussed South Africa's squad. Time to take a look at India's squad. We've got Shubman Gill captaining the side. Rishabh Pant is back. He's going to keep wicket potentially. Maybe he won't. We'll talk about that as well. But he's vice captain, as is Indian cricket's obsession with vice captain. So this time it's Pant, not Jadeja. And then we've got Yashasvi Jaiswal, Dhruv Jurel, another wicket-keeping option. Of course, Dhruv Jurel scored twin tons in that A game versus South Africa A. So I feel like he's really strengthened his case to bat as India's number 6 in this team. We've got Sai Sudarshan after him. Devdutt Padikkal makes it ahead of Sarfaraz. Big talking point, at least for me, it is. And then you've got KL Rahul, Ravindra Jadeja, Washington Sundar, Akshar Patel, Nitish Kumar Reddy, and Jasprit, Bumrah, Siraj, Akash Deep, and Kuldeep Yadav. So, I mean, apart from the Sarfaraz thing, that is a perfect squad for India, I believe. But what's holding Sarfaraz back over here? Because Devdutt Padikkal doesn't have his first-class record. If any batting position opens up, it opens up in the middle or lower middle order. So is Padikkal just like, kind of a backup for the openers? How do you see this selection pick?
So Padikkal can bat in the top 4. Sarfaraz is still the 5 or 6, right? Then in this Indian team, usually just haven't played a specialist batter at 6 in a while. Like it's been in eons since they've had that. So that's one of the reasons why you won't see it. And I also think it's partly Sarfaraz's fault. Like, why is Rahane batting above you for the Mumbai team? Like, if you're Sarfaraz, are you not telling Mumbai, I want to bat in the top 4, right? Like, if he's going to choose the easy batting position at 5 or 6, he's not going to get picked for the Indian team, right?
True. I mean, he has shed like 17 kilos or something like that. But I feel like at this point, he is a bit of a wasted cricketer. But then also when you've got India's wealth of resources, it's a tough gig, right? Or a tough gig to land. Because like I mentioned, Dhruv Jurel just scored twin tons versus South Africa A. And Dhruv Jurel did splendidly well versus the West Indies as India's frontline wicketkeeper. So now the question arises, of course, the lineup kind of picks itself over here with Yashasvi Jaiswal opening with KL Rahul. They're going to stick with Sai Sudarshan at 3. That's at least how I feel. Shubman Gill at number 4. Rishabh Pant is back and he will resume duties as India's explosive number 5 batter. And then let's start from the bottom now. You've got Bumrah and Siraj who are definitely playing. If they want to go with extra pace, they go with Akash Deep as well. Okay. You will have Kuldeep Yadav, hopefully, although I feel like he might be the one to miss out if India go for the extra seamer.
He won't play. If they got 3 seamers, he won't play.
Yeah, Gautam Gambhir is obsessed with, deep batting lineups in every format. And I'm not quite, in favor of that in longer formats, especially Test cricket, because you need more specialists. But they've got Bumrah, Siraj, and then Akash Deep / Kuldeep Yadav. Let's just say it's that way, right? You've got Washington Sundar and Ravindra Jadeja, which leaves a spot at number 6. Now, either that's Dhruv Jurel or they go with Nitish Kumar Reddy. But I feel like Jurel has made himself undroppable over here. I'd like to know what your take is.
I would definitely. I've been very Dhruv Jurel pilled for eons now. I had him in the first 11 in England, if you remember, right? I think I had Karan Nair at 3 and Dhruv Jurel at 6 in that team. And honestly, I would have stuck with that same order for the whole 9 test matches, but that's a different debate. Like, I would definitely have him in this team. So you'd probably have Pant at 5. Like a Jurel at 6 and Jadeja 7 or Jadeja 6, Jurel 7, it doesn't matter. Right? Yeah. Like, from whatever I've seen of Gambhir, I'm made peace with the fact that he's going to have batting depth at 8. So Washington will bat at 8 in this team. I've made peace with that fact. Right? I can be as annoyed as I want, it's not going to change anything. So it's better for my mental health and my blood pressure to just accept that.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to go.
Yeah,
you can only control the controllables, Varun, and this is not a controllable for you. India will definitely play someone who can bat at number 8. We know that much.
Yeah, if they're going to play 3 seamers, Kuldeep will sit out. And then if they want to play all 3 spinners, Akash Deep will sit out.
True.
So far, I've accepted that. So...
And of course, Akshar is backup for Ravindra Jadeja over here because you don't want 2 slow left-armers in there. I feel like initially they were very keen on blooding Nitish Kumar Reddy in home tests as well, and he was batting at number 6 versus the West Indies, but they didn't really use him with the ball. Shubman Gill wasn't keen to toss Reddy the ball, and I feel like if you're not going to do that, then might as well play someone who's in peak form as Dhruv Jurel is at number 6. That's the only obvious choice.
Yeah, I wonder if just Gill doesn't rate Nitish's bowling, and I don't blame him. I don't rate Nitish's bowling either. Like the utilization of Nitish Kumar Reddy is fascinating to me, right? If you want Nitish to just develop into a seam bowling all-rounder who can bat at 7 in Senna, surely the move is you give him a go at 6 regularly, not at 8. What are you gaining by making a bat at 8 or 9 in Asia, right? Surely you want him to bat at a harder position in easier conditions rather than bat at a harder position in harder conditions.
True.
They did this with Hardik as well, where Hardik was batting at 8. I think we were having a discussion about it. It's what did you gain by doing that? Because Hardik had to bat at a higher position in conditions he just wasn't suited to naturally, right? That's what you're doing with Nitish Reddy as well at this point. Either you bank on your batting talent and trust him to bat at 6, right? Especially in India, I don't think that's an issue, right? If that's how you should be developing, I had no issues with them playing him in India just to give him confidence, but they've used him so badly. I don't think they gave him confidence. If anything, they might have removed any semblance of confidence he had, right? Because he was just looking. I think Jaiswal bowls before him in that second West Indies Test match. What? That's such a bad utilization of a player.
Yeah, I'm not particularly happy with the utilization either, because I was quite excited with Nitish Kumar Reddy slotting in at 6, but that was provided he gets to bowl a bit, because that is the only way you blood a seam bowling all-rounder, for the future, because he's going to be starting for India in Senna conditions. We know that already. Nitish Kumar Reddy is a show shot starter in England, Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, and India are going to tour New Zealand later, so might as well give him some miles in those legs. But that's not how Shubman Gill looks at it. And look, India's batting strength, despite whether they go with Nitish or not, it's going to be top drawer. I mean, Yashasvi Jaiswal is averaging 50 plus in Test cricket again as an opening bat, and I always say that for me it's a fab one when we talk about future generation batting talents. No one really touches Jaiswal thus far, because his offside play is to die for. He's got shots all around the park other than that as well. Versus pace, versus spin, doesn't matter. If anything, the only way to kind of get him out is to bowl short and away from the off stump to make him cut poorly and kind of throw his wicket away. That is probably the best way to kind of remove him. But Rahul is in his peak form. I mean, he's never batted better in Test cricket, so that is a strong opening pair. Sai Sudarshan will get this series, but I wonder how long they'll stick with him. Also, I'm quite surprised. Sure, we've talked about Karun Nair, we've talked about Sarfaraz. Abhimanyu Easwaran kept getting picked in the squad as someone who can fill in for any top 3 batter, and now he's just out of the squad. So maybe he could also have been a better pick than Devdutt Padikkal.
So Abhimanyu Easwaran has not been making India A runs consistently for a while. So I think especially outside of Asia. So I think they just lost trust in him. So I don't mind it either way with him, because at the end of the for a backup if for anyone that isn't in the front line, I just don't care enough. It's that's a judgment call at that point. We just, I'm not bothered enough to debate about why the 15th best player is this 17th best player or something, right? That's too much effort for me. Right? If we want to debate the first 11, let's debate the first 11.
Yeah. Well, talking about, first string players, there are some seamers who a lot of people have been talking about. Of course, Prasidh Krishna misses out, but you gave that rationale that Akashdeep plays his Ranji Trophy cricket at Eden Gardens. That's his home ground, so maybe it makes more sense to go with him. Also, I know that we've had this conversation before, Varun, but is this well and truly the end of Mohammad Shami?
They seem to be moving. There's been a great miscommunication there, right? Shami says he's fit, Ajit Agarkar says he's not. So who knows what the fuck's happening there? They might have moved on from it. But it's we've seen India do this with Ishant, Umesh and now Shami, right? They seem to just be dropping fast bowlers just without any leeway. And that's one of the things I hate about Test cricket in general, is that you will never treat batters the way you treat bowlers, right?
True. I mean, no one does. We've seen so many games in which a bowler wins you a white ball game, for instance, and the batter who scores 50 plus takes away the player of the match award.
Yeah, also, we see all the time about how bowlers are used as horses for courses. No one ever seems to be doing that with batters. Why am I picking a guy who's horrible in South Africa?
Yeah.
Right? For example, right?
For instance, Varun is on that boat where he thinks that for Pakistan, it makes more sense to play Kamran Ghulam as their number 4 in Pakistan and Babar Azam as their number 4 in Senna. And I feel he does make some sort of sense over there, right? Even though the talent
if you're going to treat batters like that, if you're going to treat, if batters was not insecure dickheads, that's what you should be. That's what you would be doing, right? But we know batters are more sensitive than bowlers are in general. But yes.
Yeah. Also, this sport, as a whole panders to batters a lot more than bowlers, even though it's, a batter-friendly game, at least in white ball cricket it is. Although, in Test cricket, the pace-playing pandemic has played a role, and bowlers are
What a good time it's been, Behram.
Yeah, I mean, that's also true. But anyway, so Gill, sorry, why am I saying Gill? Jaiswal, Rahul, Sai Sudarshan, Shubman Gill, Rishabh Pant, Dhruv Jurel / Nitish Kumar Reddy. Then you've got Ravindra Jadeja, Washington Sundar, Bumrah, Siraj, and Akashdeep / Kuldeep Yadav. That's where we're at, right? We're pretty confident. Yeah,
Pretty
I
confident
feel
with
the
that.
same. All right then.
Unless
anyway.
they go rogue and make Dhruv Jurel bats at 3, I don't think they will.
Yeah, I don't see that. Although I know you hate this proposition, but
No.
I don't know
I know where you're
why
going. No.
Washington at
No.
3 never got
No.
discussed. I mean, false number 3s, baby.
No. I will die on this hill. I will never accept Washington as the number 3 test batter. I think at best,
Anyway, I mean,
I can see him as a number 5 in Asia. I'll give you that, but not more than that. Not above that. Let's not do this. Let's make the specialist bat in specialist positions.
fair enough. But yes, despite being inexperienced, India's team is set up really well over here to win this series. Whether or not they can accomplish that is, yet to be seen. But I feel like I'd go 65-35 India at this point. Yeah, I mean, they should be able to win this series. But then again, South Africa aren't any, pushovers or, it's going to be tough work.
I agree with you. I would want India to win this 2-0, but if it's 1-1, I think 1-1 is a disappointing result for India. But what I could see a draw coming, especially because in India, usually when you make seam-friendly tracks, it will help fast bowlers for like days 1 and 2, and then it just flattens out. Like it doesn't rag. We saw that in the India A game, right? We could have a test match where both teams make like sub 250 scores in the first innings, and one team just makes like a 600 score, and the other team will just play for a draw. I can see that happening as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can see that happening as well. But one last thing I want to discuss before we move on to predictions and whatnot is that this India A team that just lost to South Africa A, and South Africa A, of course, credit to them for chasing down 417 in the 4th innings. Bengaluru or no Bengaluru, that's still a wild accomplishment, right? It's a feat and a half. The bowling attack was a proper test bowling attack. I mean, any other team would kill for it, right? Prasidh Krishna, Akashdeep, Mohammad Siraj, Kuldeep Yadav. You only don't have Washington Sundar and Jasprit Bumrah in there, and Jadeja, who weren't featuring. And of course, those guys make India's attack stronger. But South Africa, I know the same players aren't playing. It's only Temba Bavuma, perhaps, and maybe 1 or 2 other players. I feel that should be a bit worrisome over here because, sure, the conditions will be different, but those are still the same bowlers, for the most part, who are going to feature in this test series.
Yeah, I don't mind it as much because India A just runs in a parallel universe to the test team. Like we know how we say the Indian test team can't chase. The India A for some reason just incredible at chasing. They chase over 400 versus Australia A, and they nearly chased 400 versus England A last year, right? And they can't bat in the first innings to save their lives for most of it. So the moment I saw the first innings lead, I was already like, okay, they might lose this. Because every time they've won, for some reason, they just have a first innings deficit. It's weird. Yeah. I can't explain India A as a phenomenon. The other thing is also, as I was saying, the pitch really flattened out in that game, like really, really flattened out. So that might just be the case. And also, they might just not be great for flat pitch bowlers. That happens, right? And also, we are also in the post-pass bowler where teams are more willing to chase down those totals, right?
True.
Whereas I think, like 5 or 6 years ago, this would have been a certain draw. Like South Africa wouldn't even think about chasing it.
True. Also, South Africa won a World Test Championship final chasing in a game where the pitch flattened out, right? So if that happens in either of these venues, South Africa are definitely, that sort of unit that can pounce on that. And interestingly enough, Temba Bavuma still hasn't lost a test match as captain of South Africa's test team. This is going to be probably where that streak ends.
If it's 2-0 South Africa, it would be hilarious to just see this Indian social media just burn to the ground. Like, it would be so funny.
I mean, we cannot just sit here and say that there's no possibility of that happening after what we saw versus New Zealand. It's always a possibility now.
After 2024, I don't know what to believe in anymore, Behram. After what we saw in 2024 Test cricket. Like, this year's been a lot more tame compared to the last year, right?
You need to find God, Varun. Anyway, All right, get rid of the graphic. Let's take this super chat real quick, and then we'll move on to predictions and end this show. We've got a super chat by Andy1999 G1B, who has an IPL question. He says, who wins the reported Sanju for Sam Curran and Ravindra Jadeja trade? Feel like trading in two meh all-rounders for a blue-chip bat is a win. Who could fill in the Jadeja void? Dawson or Linda? Best choices. It's a fantastic super chat. We were also discussing this in our group chat. And I feel that Devon Conway won't get retained by CSK. They'll need an opening bat. Perhaps they stick with Rachin Ravindra. Perhaps they don't. But they'll need at least one guy who is a show shot performer. And Sanju Samson is
they probably, I think they like Matre as the opener.
Oh, yeah, Matre. I completely forgot about Ayush Matre.
It probably, if Samson does go to CSK, it would probably be Matre and Samson and Rutraj at 3. Or Samson would be a 3 and Rutraj would open. One of those will
get
happen.
rid of both of Conway and Rachin Ravindra in that case. I feel like Sanju Samson being a proven IPL performer who does open the batting, and there's just a lot of insurance with him, and he also plays quite fast when he opens the batting. So I feel like Sam Curran, look, we haven't seen him reach the same heights since the 2022 T20 World Cup. It's all been downhill ever since, right? Those cutters never got wickets after that. And his batting also has kind of dropped off. And weirdly enough, Punjab were using him as this pinch blocker up top. So it's not like he's been utilized properly either. Ravindra
CSK used him
Jadeja,
as a number 3 this year.
yeah, they did. And Ravindra Jadeja, he is obviously quality, but he's old. So there is that. I feel like CSK would be the winner in this trade. And with respect to who could fill in the Jadeja void, Liam Dawson and George Linda are choices, but perhaps they stick with Moeen Ali and he just gets more game time this time around.
Moeen Ali was in Kolkata, no? He's not in CSK.
Was he? He moved? Man, I can never keep track of these things, honestly.
I'm not, so like, the easy answer to this would be just, like, India just produced so many left-arm finger-spinning all-rounders. Like, just find someone in domestic cricket and just back him to bat. At 7.
Krishna Park Gautam. There's one.
He's an off-spinner. He's an off-spinner.
Well.
You picked the one off-spinner.
He is someone.
Have you ever seen a Ranji like
underrated.
wicket-taking list? I don't know if that's the same. It's like left-arm finger spin, left-arm finger spin. Seamer from Bengal, left-arm finger spin. Like, there's so many left-arm finger spinners, average 30 in India with the bat. It's
Is Sai
insane.
Kishore leading that tally?
I think he would be, right? He would be up there, right?
Yeah.
So,
But
because Jadeja's, I don't think bowling as well in T20 cricket as he did at his best, because pitches are just flattened out, and he probably needs some help, right? And then I actually thought he batted relatively well for CSK in a couple of games at 3 or 4 when he came in. So, but I don't think he's the same death hitter that he was in from 2020 to 2022, where he was one of the best death hitters in the world at that point, right? So that's clearly not the thing.
He wins the IPL right in 2023, though, so you'd have to extend it to 2023. He hits the winning 4.
No, but he was horrible, and I don't think he was great in that season with the bat. Weirdly enough, except for the one time he turned up was the final, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so
that
Sam
final,
Curran,
by the way, just to tell all of our viewers and listeners, that final was the last time Varun was ever happy in the IPL.
I'll be pretty neutral with
trophy.
No, I don't mind RCB winning this year. I'm good with that.
True.
I likes it.
Yeah.
So,
So
what was I
for
saying?
you-
So Sam Curran, I think, I forgot what there's a word Jared uses, like floxum, I think, where they're like, okay, we need someone else, just throw Sam Curran in the trade. Why not? Because I don't really know how he fits into RR, because you can't bat him as a frontline bowler in T20 cricket. He'll be none for 50 every game if he does that, right? So, and he's not clearly not. You don't want him in the top 7 as often either. So I'm a bit confused why they're taking him, because they're clearly not a squad that has a lot of all-rounders, right? I'm assuming they want Jadeja and Sam Curran to be that joint 5th bowler, which is an okay
Also,
combination to have.
do they still have Santner, or did they let him go as well?
Who? Santner, CSK.
Yeah.
Santner's in Mumbai.
Yeah, I mean, if they get Santner back, he could probably potentially do that.
I don't think
role,
Mumbai would give him up, because Santner was quite useful for them. So
Yeah, true. Anyway, so for you, CSK would be the winner over here as well, because for me, they would be.
yeah, I don't mind it. I think it's a weird trade. Like at least I'm happy with, as a CSK fan, I'm happy with this, because the trade before this was Jadeja and Brevis for Sanju Samson. If CSK had done that, they deserve to be banned.
Yeah,
Like,
you never know. Krunal Pandya is swayed to Chennai. Who knows? Anyway, we've got another super chat by Vaishak Chenoli Wazayil. I hope I haven't butchered your name, buddy, but thank you for the super chat. He says RP at 3 Rishabh Pant, is it?
Yeah,
Riyan
the
Parag?
test team. Rishabh Pant at 3 in the test team.
Oh, no. No. Sangakkara didn't keep wicket for a lot of his test career, and especially when he was batting at 3. So
No,
I
that's
don't
what
know
he's saying. He wants Rishabh Pant as a pure batter at 3, a bit like Sangakkara gives up gloves. And then Dhruv
Okay.
Jurel as the wicketkeeper.
You know what? I don't mind that. If Dhruv Jurel
In
is
Asia,
keeping wicket,
I can see. I don't mind this because, what was I saying? Like, it's a bit like Sehwag opening in Asia, that sort of thing where
Yeah.
you don't mind attacking batters opening in Asia. You don't want them. You don't want Pant at 3 in Senna, for example. He's not got the
Yeah.
technique to handle the moving ball
Also,
on a
you
regular
know,
basis.
why give Rishabh Pant the newer ball though to face? So I
Yeah.
want someone who can delay entry points at number 3, and Rishabh Pant is the exact
That's
opposite.
what I'm saying. I don't think that's as big a deal in Asia, though. Asia, the best
It's
chance
not.
to bat is often the new ball. So,
But
but
the other
again,
side of
the
this
issue is
coin
you don't
is
want to
that-
move him out of the position, right?
Exactly. So the
Yeah.
disruptor position, at least in modern day Test cricket, what the top teams are doing is they're having that disruptor sort of batter at number 5 who can throw the plans of the opposition team into a spanner. And Rishabh Pant does exactly that. So I think that whilst what you're proposing, Vaishak, it could work in theory, I still wouldn't want to kind of fiddle with Pant's batting position. You keep him at 5, let him, do Rishabh Pant things, and let Sunny G lose his shit whilst he does those things. All right. That
We also
kinda-
don't know if Pant is Pant because he can keep, right? Because we know that.
Yeah.
But if people who usually have secondary skills are more likely to be attacking because they know they're contributing in other ways. If Pant can only be the batter in the team, who knows what that does to him? Maybe he becomes more responsible and safe.
Oh, I mean, look, people used to say this about Johnny Bairstow, and he was a better batter when he would keep wicket as opposed to when he wouldn't. So there's some funny, sort of combinations throughout cricket, and sometimes wicket keepers, they just prefer to keep wicket, and that gives them some confidence to bat as well. It depends from, varies from person to person. But I think that if you've got both of Rishabh Pant and Dhruv Jurel in the side playing or starting, I'd probably hand the gloves to Jurel. Wouldn't you do the same?
Again, going back to the point, is getting the best out of Pant giving him the gloves? I don't
We
think
don't know that.
I don't think Dhruv Jurel is as gloves dependent as Pant is when it comes to giving his best. So we don't know that.
Also, if you talk about outfielding or ground fielding, then you'd want Dhruv Jurel in the park.
easily.
Other than ahead of Rishabh Pant, because Rishabh Pant is definitely a better wicketkeeper than he is fielder. Even though I've never seen him field, I would assume as much, right? Anyway, so that kind of wraps up this preview of South Africa's upcoming 2-match Test series in India. Just before we end this show, Varun, let's do some quick predictions. Who, according to you, will be the highest run scorer of the series?
It's a good question.
He's
Okay,
thinking.
I'll just say Shubman Gill again. One of these days it will be true.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jaiswal because it seems like a safe option. And
My issue
now-
is that if it's a seam-friendly surface, he could nick off early in one of the test matches.
True. But then again, the quality of the guy is such that if he gets going, then South Africa are kind of done for early on. I'm a big fan. I love Yashasvi Jaiswal, so I'm just going on vibes over here. All right, highest wicket taker of the series for you, Varun.
It's a good question. I don't think Kuldeep will play the first test match, so I doubt it will be him. I don't think Jadeja or Washington are the same wicket takers. Fuck it, I'll go Bumrah. Why not?
Okay.
He's due a big series. He's due a Bumrah-like series.
All
It's
right,
been a while.
so I'll make this a bit interesting and I'll go Kagiso Rabada. Why not?
I'm in. I'm happy. I'll be happy if it's either of them.
Yeah, all
Love
right.
me some Rabada.
Player of the series.
Probably Jadeja. Easy bet.
Yeah, Jadeja is the easiest bet, but I want to do something interesting over here. What should I do? Nah, man. I mean, sure, if you've gone Jadeja, I'll go Washington Sundar then. Screw it.
It's the all-rounders are always a good bet in India. So, what was it?
All right.
Ashwin has more Player of the Series awards than Player of the Match awards, right? That's one of the favorite stats ever. So yeah.
Although Jared would probably slap you if you read too much into Player of the
That's
Series or Player of the Match awards. So there's that. You could lose your job.
fair.
And finally, scoreline predictions. Where are you going with this, Varun?
I'll go 2-0. I want it to be 2-0. So yeah.
2-0 India? Okay, just to, again, make it interesting, I'll go 1-1. Because why
Yeah,
not?
it could very well be 1-1, right? It could be 2. I think it could be 2-0, 1-1, or 1-0. Anything can happen.
Yeah. Anyway,
If this is
all
2
of
0
you
South
guys-
Africa, we'll come back into QazAkonda. I'll give you that.
Oh, absolutely. If
Yes.
South Africa win the first test as well, you're going to get a QazAkonda show for sure.
Yeah,
So
100%.
let's see how this series unravels. But all of you viewers and listeners, do let us know your predictions for highest run scorer, highest wicket taker, player of the series, and scoreline predictions in the comment section below. And that wraps up episode 3 of the QazAkonda show. So like, share, and subscribe. And also, just to remind you, all of our shows on the Good Areas network are powered by our supporters on Patreon. And you can become one of them by going to Patreon/Good Areas Podcast. And then you can enjoy ad-free content. You can talk to us exclusively. And you can also give us podcast recommendations. Also, you can go and bookmark goodareas.co. That webpage can prove to be your one-stop shop for all the fun work that we do as part of our team, whether it be written content, videos, or podcasts. We'll see you soon enough. And till then, that'll be all. Have a good one, guys. Enjoy the series. And goodbye.
This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. If you want to be part of the community that makes content like this, head over now.